Hello, everyone. How are you? How are you guys doing today? I wanted to slow down for a few minutes and just chat with you. Like, how are you? Like, how are you really? My girlfriend Laura asked me this question a lot, and I can always tell that she's ready for me just to lay it all out for her. Like, what a gift to be able to spill your heart and be heard. So, I'm asking you the same question. How are you? You just take a minute and a deep breath and consider the way just your heart feels, the way your hands move, and just a rhythm to your heartbeat. I'll start. I'm tired. Both my kids were up late last night and I had a hard time falling back asleep. I'm overwhelmed. I skipped breakfast this morning and I'm functioning like on a cup of coffee. Does that sound familiar? My responsibilities at time, they just seem crushing at times. Like I'm the caretaker of my family. I'm a mama. I run a company. I manage lunches and dinners and training sessions and schedules and play dates. I have a lot going on and I want to be everything to everyone, so I'm running on empty these days, even though I know better. Like, how do we even begin to have grace within ourselves in these situations? In my head, I know it means forgiving myself for being a mess and finding peace in my circus. But if you're anything like me, you know it's easier said than done. It all comes down to this question, okay? What good are we when we're overwhelmed, overbooked, and overcommitted? You're a living, breathing vessel of love, sweet friend. And so am I. Like we need care and rest and nutrients and full hearts to be able to speak life into the people we love. Like imagine a beautiful car created with precision and craftsmanship and attention to every little tiny detail. The car is bright, it's shiny, and it's beautiful its first trip around the block. But after a while, the car stops being a showpiece. It runs errands, it shuffles kids back and forth to soccer practice, and endures rain and wind and snow and mud. It gets bumped and scratched and left in the garage without washing. Like all cars, right? After a while, it's obvious the car needs a good wash. It needs a tune-up. It needs a refill of gas, and maybe a coat of wax, or the car isn't going to be good for anyone anymore. Isn't that car kind of like you? Like if you run yourself ragged, caring for everyone but yourself while expecting perfection from your hands and your body and your mind, you're in for a rough collision with reality. Okay, so we're not really machines. We don't run on diesel. We don't have an ignition switch, which honestly, I would really like one. But our hearts are moving, okay? Well, they're loving organic things. You might say our hearts are like wells, deep and wide. If our wells aren't fed by a freshwater spring where it can be replenished and refilled, we have no water to give the ones we love. Like if our well is fed by a stream of comparison and anxiety and stress, guess what we're going to have to give to our families? Sharp words and headaches and impatience. It's just going to brim at the top. Nothing good can ever come out of that. It's like a poisoned well. But what would we have if we let our wells be filled with things like rest and laughter and confidence and good tea and hugs and adventure? Like I want to overflow with that sweet water. In Galatians, it says, "You, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. For the entire law is fulfilled in keeping this one command: love your neighbor as yourself." That last line of that passage is so powerful. Love your neighbor as yourself. We usually think of that command as centering around others, but it's also about us too, okay? God is telling us to love, nurture, and care for ourselves and to love others that much as well. I don't know about you, but if I loved and nurtured my neighbor or my children the same way I care for myself sometimes, I wouldn't be doing them any good. Like any good. Like why do we always put ourselves last? It's tragic. And I used to be one of the most terrible offenders. Like women, showers are non-negotiable, okay? Makeup is optional, but sister, feed yourself breakfast. And I don't mean out of a mug. You're not doing anyone favors by putting yourself last. In fact, although you think you're doing the selfless thing by putting everyone first, you're actually sabotaging all your efforts by refusing to take time to fill your own tank. Somewhere, some time ago, someone told you that you had to do it all, that you had to do it all by yourself. And instead of saying no and just paring down and embracing the quality of life over quantity of commitments, you allowed your life just to spin out of control. I know I did it too, and it's left you with like half a second to take a breath. Like take a minute, just 1 minute, and just breathe in and breathe out. Our society glorifies busyness and champions the adrenaline rush. If we're not going fast, they say we're not moving forward. On top of this, women often have the habit of stepping into the role of the martyr. Like we sacrifice ourselves for the greater good. Like we believe we're doing the selfless thing. but we eventually self-sabotage. Not even, just not investing in ourselves. We crash and burn. Have you ever wondered why flight attendants tell travelers if oxygen masks deploy, you should secure yours first before helping even your kids or anyone else? They give this instruction because if you can't breathe, there's no way you can help anyone else. The same goes to day-to-day life. You may be bending over backwards to give your children a good life, but if you're not taking care of yourself too, you're moving backwards. I mean, you're moving backwards from that goal. After my surgery, I had to take my doctor's advice and start to fill my heart and my mind and my body with goodness, healthy food, water, rest, and truth. I had driven myself to the edge, just close to the edge. I didn't realize that worry and anxiety and the need for control and the chase of perfection would zap all the life and energy and health from my body. My experience has taught me that when we are desperately worried, we often point our focus inward, and it robs us of our faith and weakening our hearts. When we are weak, we aren't our best selves. We can't draw water from an empty well. And when we are empty, we're really no good for anyone. You may be thinking, I'm in that cycle right now. Like, Tracy, how do I get out? And my answer for you is this: give yourself permission to slow down. In fact, give yourself permission to stop. I stopped for a bit. Like, press pause as much as possible and take inventory of your life. Like, what are your commitments and responsibilities? What can go? What are your priorities? Like, what can you say no to? Take a life inventory. What are you missing? What makes you feel just deeply alive? How can you fill up your heart with that, even if just a tiny bit? Like, I love the beach. I love the way I can see God's handiwork in the water. I love the freedom of the air, the open shore, the sand beneath my feet. I love how messy I feel at the beach. It's just one of those things that makes me feel alive again. Then there's coffee, okay? And summer sunsets on the front porch with my husband. I love having my entire family together. I love laughing with them and the way they just speak life into me. I love being a mother. I love snuggling with my babies, and just the way Jamers plays with my heart necklace. I love the way Olivia tells me knock-knock jokes, and she always forgets the punchline. I love her smile, her lips, just her infectious laugh that it just makes every fiber of my being smile. I love wide open spaces and art and creative people and old books and history and swatch books. I love traveling and reading a good book. Like, why am I not filling my free time with all these things? Instead, I'm aimlessly scrolling through Facebook or Instagram, or watching another episode of Parenthood, or wiping the counters for like the 15th time. Our wells could be brimming with more of the good stuff. Imagine like the refreshing, life-giving water that well could provide to you and those around you. With that overflow, imagine how you could love others in the same way you have shown love to yourself. What would your life look like if you let your well be filled, even just 5 minutes a day, with the things that make you feel alive? It's not as hard as it seems to infuse your life with tiny moments of joy that will add up to a spiritual shift. Wake up 20 minutes early. Savor your favorite cup of coffee with hazelnut cream. Put pictures of your last beach trip at your desk. Ditch the dirty kitchen, like tonight, for 5 minutes, and just snuggle with your little one instead. Invest in yourself, because ladies, you get what you put in, okay? Take care of yourselves. Make time for yourselves. I love you. I want you guys to stay fabulous, and I want you guys to fill your wells, okay? I'll talk to you soon. Bye.